Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create heavy-ass riffs simply by manipulating programmed drums. Gear I'm using today is this Aristides 070 SR through a Neural DSP Quad Cortex into Presonus Studio One. The drums are the Get Good Drums Periphery 5 kit, and then I have a few mixing plugins enabled to just make things sound a little bit better. So let's jump on over to the DAW. Now, what I have programmed is a super simple drum beat, and it is going to be forming the basis of making riffs. And this is what it is. Pretty simple. So the foundation of how I like to approach writing riffs is using the kick drum to accent the majority of notes, particularly those on the low string. And this is a very, very good way to practice, to come up with new ideas, and to just break out of your comfort zone of how you might already write riffs, because it can be as simple as just dragging one kick beat or a snare beat or whatever to another note to create a new riff. And I think that's pretty cool. Maybe there's a lot of people out there that already do this, but I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet. So now there's layers to this. The most basic layer is just taking the kick and then playing something to that on guitar. So this is what I mean by that. And then you have a riff that sounds like this. But as itself, it's actually kind of boring. So the next level that we add to this is filling in the gaps. Now we're taking the spaces between the kicks to just add different little nuances in. And you can do this a number of different ways. I like to just put something on repeat and then play it, any number of times till I start creating different ideas. And then when it comes to songwriting, you can then use that same idea to create differences in riffs so that when a new, chorus or verse or whatever comes up, you have a fresh idea that is a motif to the original idea that you can insert. And again, it supports practicing quite a bit because you're forcing yourself to explore while adhering to a strict tempo. So what would that sound like? I had the click turned off. And then we end up with something like this. Now, outside of my sloppy playing, it's actually starting to sound pretty good. But the third thing that I think is really cool is actually manipulating the drums themselves to cultivate new ideas. And there's a couple ways that we can do this. The first is by changing the actual tempo of the track. However, for the sake of this, I'm going to keep it at 180. And then the second is manipulating the drums themselves. So I have this pattern repeating for quite a ways, and it repeats every 2 bars. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete most of them so I only have 1 repeat. And then we're just going to listen to this again. It's very simple. But what if I wanted to then move this kick to right here? Not really feeling it. That could be cool. That gives you something like this. It's hitting on a 8th note versus everything else hitting on quarter notes. You could then go to 16th notes. That would be very hard to play at 180 beats per minute. But you can really start to explore with this. You can add notes in, you can take notes out. That was a little weird. And then you can just continue playing around with it until you find something that resonates with you as a player that makes you say, hell yeah, I could record something pretty sweet to that. And then next thing you know, you have a whole new part of a song or a riff that you may have never thought of before, because you don't necessarily think of rhythm from the perspective of a drummer. When it comes to this, the world of writing heavy ass riffs really starts to open up, because you're just exploring it from a different perspective. You're stepping away from guitar for a second, and you're just playing with the rhythm as it is. I once had a music teacher say to me, you could learn any song if you just know the rhythm, and then the melody will come later. And I think that's absolutely true, but I think the inverse of that is you can really start to create cool stuff when you just start playing around with the rhythm. I hope this video helps you. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Cheers.